time once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now. And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to PSGL Season 29. This is round number 9, and we head to Portugal for the first time for the Portuguese Grand Prix. My name is Jess, and joining me once again, he is back after 2 weeks of not being here. It's Mr. Owen Wyatt. How you doing?
Hello Jess, hello viewers, yes I am back, should be here for the rest of the season, hopefully I have no more issues. And Jess, it looks like your wishes have not been granted because you didn't want rain. It's a heavyweight qualifying session.
Commentator's curse already started before even the stream happened. Typical me, eh? And this is the first time the Portuguese Grand Prix has happened for a while in real life, but the Algarve circuit wasn't raced in F1 until 2020. It was first opened in 2008 and used as a testing circuit. So this is the drivers' first experience of this circuit on the game, the F1 games in general. The drivers have had no experience, no seasons to go by. They just had the tiers from last week, the lower tiers and the PC tiers to go by instead of their own pace. But it will be interesting to see. I was hoping for a dry qualifying session because I think we would have been in the high 115s tonight, but I guess we're not going to get that this week. But for 20 car grid, and we got a few changes tonight to go with, and one notable change is Valtters, who was the championship leader. Well, he's still the de facto championship leader, but he's no longer in F2. He's been moved, promoted to F1 as a reserve. Who knows, he'll probably be full-time sooner or later like the others have done. But yeah, the championship leader is now been handed to Baraka effectively. But yeah, Valtter's no longer here. As of next week, Netsky will be replacing him in the Aston Martin, but he's in the AlphaTauri tonight. But replacing Valtters just for this week, we got Will Murdoch. And we also got another change. Jensen is filling in for Kareem in the Haas. Jensen came from F3 and did quite well there too, and he was also doing well in the Esports Cup from VRT is organised as well. So good to see him here. Let's see how well he does. We've got a mixture of strategy here tonight in terms of the tyres they've chosen to go on in this qualifying session. Some on the wets, some on the inters, just like Belgium in real life, really.
Yes, now is that a suggestion that the rain's going to get lighter? Is it a suggestion that the rain's going to get heavier and this is the best time to use intermediates? Really, the first laps here could be absolutely crucial to who qualifies where. It's actually best who will start his lap first, and he'll take that plunge down towards turn 1. A very easy corner to lose it on, especially in conditions like this with how that curve is, but he's making it through okay. Quite tentative though on the throttle. Really just trying to make sure he gets it round Ash best.
Yes, and he passes turn 3 and then heading in towards turn 4, which is quite a tricky elevation change. And we're about to approach turn 5, which is Toravit, which is a common overtaken spot around this circuit. We've seen quite a few spinners there, as well as we now head towards turn 6 and 7. A very tricky double right-hander coming up as well, but he seems to be doing all right. You can see the puddles and the standing water already on this circuit. So it is kind of on the cusp between full wets and inters. So it's really how you make the tyres work in order the drivers to do well. So we don't know what the right tyre is. It's just how they manage it right now. So he's about to approach the final sector. Sector 2 is kind of like a roller coaster, but Sector on all Ash Best had a slight bit of oversteer heading into the start of Sector 3. But apart from that, tidy lap. He's going to be one of the first drivers to set a lap. I think we have an Alfa Romeo just in front of him as well. He might be on his out lap though, so we'll keep an eye on him in a second. But Ash Best is about to head on a high speed moment of, I believe it's Galp, turn 15, and it is kind of like a roller coaster set, you know, on his circuit, and he's binned it. So he's not going to be the first person to set a lap time. I believe that the first person will be one of the Hasses.
Will Murdoch, fastest of them all. That's his second car, Jess, to go off in that final corner, because CC Brain did it on his outlap as well. So a tricky corner, but it'll be two intermediate drivers who get to the line first, and well, we'll see if any wet runs go faster. Cyril hasn't, and Netsky's found 2.5 seconds on anyone on any tyre at the minute. Louis out there as well, so intermediates look to be the tyre to be on at the minute, actually. Is this corner on, he's gone to the pit lane, so he doesn't fancy the wets either, so people are, they're not liking these wets. We've got a few cars racing out there on track, where's that? They're very close to each other anyway. With that final corner, they don't want to be anywhere near each other. Suko coming up to the line, he goes fastest now by another half a second. Such a massive difference in times. And you'll find, oh, that might be a car out. Brock lucky to keep going after he loses it at the final corner as well for Mercedes. Again on the full wet, it's not looking good at all. But like I say, you'd be lucky to get round here sometimes on the way downhill and uphill, because the traction zones are completely different here than they are to any other track on any F1 game, really. And that's why you're seeing such a difference in times. People are just not knowing what to expect. Reese now crosses the line. He goes for fastest. I think that's pretty much all the first runs done. And, well, we'll see how everyone gets along with their second laps.
I think expect the drivers who are on the intermediates to go out for a few more laps, because they only have pretty much a few set of enters for the entire weekend as well. So if it's raining in the race, you don't really want to be using fresh set of enters for all your qualifying runs. And the grippier, well, the more time you spend on your runs, the better your laps will be, as Netsky's improved. 127.
Yeah, you didn't see what he just did there. I did, though. Netsky went to Narnia and back on that final corner. Is that a tactic? Is that an accident? Either way, he's just learnt that if you ignore the final corner and just straight line it and go off the track, you can keep more speed, potentially, and guess what? It doesn't go invalid. I'm sure I'll be looking at his next lap to see if he does that again, because it certainly looked to me like he was not interested in taking that corner properly in the slightest.
No, and I think that's going to be one of the things that gets brought up by the stewards as well, because there are certain tracks on this game where you can exploit the track limits. I think Hungary is one of them. I know Silverstone, you can cut something a lot and you get away with it. So yeah, I wonder if other people would try and exploit that too as well. We do have a few more people on their third laps as well, so I think Rizzo goes fastest with a 126.7, so the conditions are improving ever so slightly. I don't think Louis going any quicker. I think he's on a charge of the battery, because there are some laps where you don't really want to be using too much of your battery, because otherwise you're going to run out before you get to the line. Deso, let's see how he does through sector 2. He's doing all right so far as well. Interesting enough, Ash Best is still on the wet tyres, and he's still struggling out there at the moment, even with the puddles. So I wonder why he's still out there. Same with CC Brain too. So they're still thinking the wets are the way to go. But I wonder if they're seeing the lap times from the others. Will they make the jump to the enters? I don't know. But I'm guessing they just want to get a feel for the track first, I believe, as Ash Best is doing. Let's see if Ash Best nails the rest of his lap and doesn't bin it this time.
Yeah, he's got to at least get a time on the board, because there's not many out there who are doing wet laps, and I think there's more cars off of that final corner, but they're all still keeping it facing the right direction. Ash Best, theoretically, I suppose his tyre should be okay if you can get a proper lap in, but it doesn't necessarily look too comfortable, does it? And there's a car off at turn 2.
That is an Aston Martin.
Yeah, might just be Hadler, possibly. It could even be Will Murdoch. Either way, I think Ash Best, has he given up, or is he just taking so long to get on the throttle? This is going to be nowhere near the top.
He's done it again!
I would just box it. Be careful to hit the Alfa Romeo. It's also bent it at that final corner, because it's clearly not working for Ash Best, and yeah, that'll be back to the pit lane. I think it was Risa who'd spun in the final corner, the P1 man at the minute. So, yeah, cars losing it left, right and centre right here. They're really struggling with these conditions. Like I say, it's a totally unique situation for these guys, because they've never ever driven a track like this on any F1 game. And in the wet, the traction zones that are already pretty difficult in the dry are even more difficult in the wet, and it is so difficult to judge just where you can plant the throttle down. Daniel's managed it okay though, as he comes up to the line. He's moving up to P7. There's a few other guys out there as well. We've got Brock. He's out there. His teammate Corner as well. He's gone up to P6 from P20. A few other cars. Gill's gone up to P11. The gaps are closing now. Suku's gone up to P1. He's finding some time. Baraka starts a lap. I think, who's this in Alpha Tower? It's that CC Bruin still on the wet tyres. Still trying to make those work. Valentine's out there starting a new lap, but he's invalid and he's not going to get to do that lap. Cohen's gone to P8. We've got a Red Bull of Dessa. He's found a little bit of time. Moves up to P13. His teammate is about to start a lap. He's on new full wets, so he seems to think those are the tires to be on. Fabi is letting people through. I mentioned Mercedes earlier of Brock, so let's see how his lap ends. He hasn't set one yet so far. Currently sits down in P17. D-rates a little bit, but still moves up into P11. Ferrari now as well coming around the final corner. Is that Daniel again, or is it his teammate starting a lap? It is Zizzle starting a lap. And yeah, a lot of people doing different things out there, but it was a good lap from Suku, wasn't it? On 4-lap old inters. And the rain definitely seems to be getting a little bit lighter, so I think everyone's got to be on those inters now. There's no point being on anything else.
Yeah, and I think you really want to start pushing now, really, because pretty much it's not going to be dry towards the end of the session, which means the people that usually like to qualify P11 for the alternate strategy is not going to work out, as Daniel goes fastest with a 1:26.2. With the conditions improving, I think we're going to see even quicker lap times than that. Valentine has just invalidated in the final sector, which is not good for him at all. We've got Kazizel going towards the middle sector. Another driver yet to set a lap time. Another driver who's had a bad string of races these last couple of races, and he's looking to fight back from his disappointment, because he was the most consistent driver before he had that spell of bad luck of races, to be honest. And there was one race that we do not want to talk about where he had an unfortunate incident. But, has he invalidated there as well? Easy to invalidate around that corner, especially in the wet condition. I don't think many people have practiced for the wet conditions, only for the dry, to get the feel of how to push the limits. That's probably why these drivers are struggling a little bit. And this is a car, Valentine. A Haas team are the only team not to score any points so far in this league, which is kind of like real life. But I've never seen that ever in any league, where a team is just struggling to get on their feet, and Valentine has not even finished a race, I don't think. He's got poles, but he's never converted that to race wins so far, so maybe this could be the night where he could be alright, as he's definitely struggling through sector 2, so I don't think he's going to set an even better lap. But Daniel is looking very quick.
Yeah, he's looking real quick, isn't he, Jess? I mean, he is absolutely dominating at the moment. Corner was looking pretty decent on his lap though as well. Could he fight back? Yes, he can. Mercedes go up to the top. Netsky's just starting a lap behind him. And who's the Alfa Romeo? That is Baraka. That's also on for P1. And he has got it by 0.3 of a second. The second Haas, Jensen, is out there. And we'll see what lap he does. Valentine, he's crossing the line. Let's see if he can get a time on the board. He's gone 15th. We've got Tadler starting the lap, then we're going to have a Red Bull. Is it Desso again? He's on his way into the pits at the last. He'll get some new tyres on before the final runs. Simo, his teammate, the only guy still out there on the full wets. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him in the pits, because it's pretty clear now that the track is intermediate conditions, not full wet. And that's why you're seeing the Red Bull pitting at the moment. Jensen is over a second up. This is going to be on the second row. It's on the front row. He's made even more time on the final sectors. That's good stuff from him. Because Zizzle's on his way into the pit lane. The Mercedes out there. Is that Brock heading to the pits as well?
Yes.
Is that going to be Risa finishing a lap? And going P6. It was an improvement, but not enough to make a position up. We're going to have another car up across the line. It's that Louis, who's on a slow lap. Daniel, he's going again, but he's also slow. These guys are all going to really try and get some last runs in on some new tyres, I'd imagine. As Gill starts a lap. Let's see if Mr. Track Limits is going to do it again. He's moved up to P5. Didn't see what he was on for Track Limits that time round, but still, it's a decent lap for Netsky. Baraka has gone even faster now. He's made half a second on his last attempt, and is now pulled away from the field by 0.6 of a second as we head towards the last runs of this session. That might be quite difficult to beat.
Yeah,
And
well, I
look
think
at that, Valentine's just abandoned a lap that was on for P6 there, so he clearly feels he's got more pace than that as well. They all want to be out there right at the end when these conditions are going to be at their best.
Yeah, I think so too, and probably they're going to be going out very, very soon because the more that you stay on these tyres, the much better it will become. So maybe these drivers will be going out now. Quite a lot of people are out already, and with Bouters not being an F2 anymore, this is Baraka's chance to really solidify his pace at the top. He's seen one of his main rivals get promoted as well, and he's had some good races and he had some bad races, and he just needs to improve on his consistency a little bit as well. But a 125.1 in the wet is absolutely decent and definitely incredible for him as well, and I think he's liking these wet conditions. Remember when it was France, when it was full wet? He was dynamite and he was miles ahead of everybody, but once it got lighter, he was struggling a little bit. So I think he's one of the kings of wet in this F2 tier. As we're seeing Daniel, I believe, going out of the pits. Quite a lot of people going out of the pits actually to do their final runs. There's some people are staying out there. Netsky comes across the line. He comes across the line in P2. And we've got a McLaren. I think that's Fabi. No, it's not Fabi. It's his teammate, Ash Best, who's about to start his final run, I believe. Yeah, one of his final runs anyway. And we've got a big train in the final sector. I think we've got one of the Aston Martins who is invalidated, and we've got a Williams. I think I'm trying to find which Williams it is behind. I think it might be Gill, actually. No, it's not Gill. It's Cohen, actually. The Alpine. It's hard to tell with the colours, but Cohen actually won the race last week in China in really good circumstances, actually, even though he's a reserve right now. He's in the Alpine tonight, filling in for one of the full-time drivers who can't make it, but he's got another point to prove. He's got pole in his debut, but again, he didn't convert it to a win, and the race he didn't get pole, he got the race win, but he's currently sitting P5 right now, looking pretty decent so far. And there's some other drivers looking decent, but there's two drivers yet to set a lap time. That is Ash Best and that is Kazizel, and they really need to go up there, and someone has gone off.
Reset, yeah. He's done a pirouette in the final corner. That'll end his qualifying because he decided to go into the pit lane with that, so that'll be not enough time to go back out. Louis just got up to P3. A few more cars crossing the line to start some laps, including the Mercedes of corner. We had Daniel, we've got a few others. I think a lap for Gill's gone P8. Netsky back up to second position. I think Fabi is out there as well, improving, but his teammate now hasn't got a time. He does now. He's gone to P16. Valentine is starting a lap, and then next up must be CC Brain. He's down though at the moment on his lap, so we'll see how Fabi gets along, because he doesn't need to make much of an improvement to go up to P1 here, because he's already 2/10 up in that middle sector. This could be our first time in the 1:24 if we can get this last sector all together. So look for the time as Fabi goes P1. Like I say, the first car into the 24s, and Baraka can't do anything about this now because he's already out of the session. We've got a few other cars crossing the line, but no improvements happening from those guys at the moment. Here comes Jensen to start his lap, and then we have a Ferrari coming across the line as well of Kazizel. So everyone's set a time now. That is P4. Red Bull across the line. Simu's gone P15. We've got a Mercedes of Brock, and he's gone up to P8. These times are really coming thick and fast now, aren't they? As Will Murdoch begins another lap. That'll be his last lap because we are running out of time now. Another car crossing the line, and I don't think there was any improvement there for Lou. Well, it was, but not enough to go up. Suko has, though, made positions up. He's gone all the way up to P1, and he's been replaced now by Cornet. We're going to have another lap from Netsky, and it's a good one, but it's again in P2. He loves that P2. Daniel has not improved, so he'll start his final lap. Here comes Gill. He's also starting his final lap. Ash Best is slow, so he'll go again. And next car up after that is going to be CC Brain. He's invalidated though at the moment, so he's going to have to start another lap. There's a Haas off the road. He's not going to get to the line in time, so that's his quali over. Checkered flag is now out. So all these times are going to be the final ones for each driver. So here comes Fabi, the first person to fully shoot a checkered flag on a flying lap. And he's gone up to P3. Just behind him, we have Cohen, who's gone up to P2. And here comes Dessa, who's making some improvement. This might move him up to P11. It has indeed. Just off that top 10. We had also Hadler, no improvement from him. Jensen's P4 now in the end. And it looks like, who's that? Kazizel's gone P5. Few cars messing about. Simo might have had an accident there. Has that ruined Valentine's lap, perhaps? Is that who it was crossing the line? Because he's now also out of the session. Wonder what went on there. Is that... Oh. Will Murdoch's doing the track limits, and that's an accident, in fact. Suko, he's up. This might get him onto the front row, but he's lost some time in that final sector. Mercedes in the background as well, off corner, has gone even faster. That's a big gap to make. Can Netsky do it? No, he can't. He's a half a second off pole position. How about Daniel? He's only got to P8. Louis out there. Gill's out there, but he's only gone P9. Ash Best, can he pull a surprise? He's invalidated. And so, that means that Cornet, by an incredible half second, is on pole for Mercedes. And so, yes, you can argue that Valtters was the faster driver, but he's now out of this. And Cornet knows he's in a championship fight. He's technically second in the championship. He's only 3 points behind the championship leader, Baraka. And that is the perfect way to start his day, with Baraka losing the car. Remember, with 2 minutes to go in the session, he decided to pit instead of doing another lap and started a flying lap at the end of the session. He gave up that lap, and it's put him all the way down from P1 to P10. Well, Cornet, his main rival now, sits on pole.
Yes, and it could mean anything, because points is golden here at PSGL. You get 16 points if you win a race, and you only get 1 point if you get 10th place. But we know Baraka's like to gain position in the race, so we'll see what he can do. Maybe he'll be a bit complacent by the time, thinking, oh, that time is good enough. No one's going to beat that. But no, he's sitting down in 10th, 9 tenths off of P1. So he's got a lot of work to do, but maybe he's fine sitting in P10. Every single all the drivers will have 3 choice of tyres anyway, so he can decide whether he wants to start on the softs or start on the mediums. I think we're going to have a mixture of strategies today.
Yes, absolutely. It depends, of course, if we're going to have a dry race. Will there be rain involved? These guys all doing pretty much their first big races around here, I'd imagine, so possibly not really knowing anything about it. It might be a bit down to luck how they handle those really difficult traction zones, of course. And yeah, a lot of variables here, but quickly we'll go over the qualifying session. Actually, well, we can't do it now, but we'll do it on the formation lap, because I've been talking for too long, so we'll have to sit back and wait for a minute.
Yeah, because I think there was too much going on as well. I think it was impossible to tell with this qualifying session, but you can't see it at the moment, but it's a dry quali session, well, dry race at the moment, but there could be some rain towards the end of the race that could affect it, but it doesn't look like it's going to rain. There's no cloud at all. It's nice and sunny as well, so that could be interesting. And again, this is the first time we get to see them in the dry conditions, because we only saw what they're like in the wet, so they could be like a different beast in the dries. I think a lot of people may shine better in the dries than they are in the wet as well, so there are quite a few DRS zones to watch out for around this circuit, which we will point out right now. We got the one at the start finish straight heading towards turn 1, and then we got the one between turn 4 and 5, and I think those are the only 2 DRS zones on this circuit as well. There's quite a few speed trap and elevation changes as well, and watch out for obviously that final corner and obviously turn 5 as well, where we've seen a few spins too. So that is what we got on store around the track today, as we're waiting for all the drivers to pit their strategies. It takes a while, this race, because obviously they have the flexibility either to start on the soft, mediums or the hards. I don't know what I would go for, but I think you have the option to either do soft to hard, hard to soft. Maybe some people could go on the mediums, we don't know. We'll see as they line up on the grid, as they're about to start their formation lap. And according to everybody, we got most people on the mediums except Baraka, who's on the hards, and Will Murdoch is on the hard. So we got Baraka on the softs, Will Murdoch on the hard compounded tyres. Everybody else has decided to go for the medium compounded tyres. So that is interesting. Not surprised that not many people chosen the softs, but I think Baraka just wants to get by as many people as he possibly can due to him having a poor qualifying. So I'm not surprised that he's up there, but he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, a lot of work, but we'll see how it all pans out. Like I say, I do feel there's a tad better sort of randomness onto this, so maybe the soft decision or the hard decision for the 2 drivers who decide to do something completely different might work out. But yeah, I'm surprised that many actually went for mediums. I mean, if you're like Valencine at the back and you haven't finished a race all season, why not try something different? But I guess he's going to stick with the pack. Will he get points today? I mean, his teammate Jensen, he's up there, but I mean, in typical Haas form, if he's a reserve, it's not really going to count, is it? So you might as well not be there for Haas, so they're still going to rely on that. But yeah, 33 laps around here. I'm expecting the one stop to work still okay, so I'm guessing it'll be medium to hard or medium to soft. I'm not really too sure, but we'll see how it all goes as they all head round. But yeah, Baraka, how much is he going to be aggressive on that start? Because I think, yeah, definitely needs to make a comeback from that qualifying session, because it really was just a shame to see it not being up there. We know he's faster than this, but is the wet pace going to sort of relate to the dry pace? We'll see.
Yeah, he's in the lead of the championship before Valtters came along with 47 points, Cornet on 44, Brock on 42, and Fabi on 36, Suko on 34, joint with Hadler. So those are the top 6 to watch out for. And we also got Kazizel on 33, and we have Gil, Daniel, Netsky, Desco, Simo, Cohen, Benny, Rizza, CC Brain, Louis, Ash Best, Luca, Recon, Kareem and Valentine, and then Will Murdoch. 2 of the Hasses obviously did not score any point. I believe Kareem's left the league, so I think Jensen is going to be scoring points for Haas today. I'm not entirely sure, but it says that on my standards that Kareem has left, so who knows? With Jensen in P4, this could be Haas's big break, but everyone is lined up on the grid. Let's get this 33 laps of Portimao started, shall we?
Indeed, this turn 1 is not one you want to be overtaking too much into, so I wonder what everyone's approach is going to be. Are they going to slingshot through there and try and go for the first braking zone? Or are they all just going to go hell for leather? Really, anything can happen on this first lap. But the lights are on. It's going to be corner for Mercedes from Netsky in the AlphaTauri. And we are away here in Portimao. It's a good start from Netsky. He'll go straight into the lead of this race. I think Corner's had a really poor run, but Cohen's not quite close on to the challenge for second place. On the inside, Jensen's been spun round by Suko. I think it was a fair move from the Alpine, in fairness. I think there's just 3 wide. They all got caught up a little bit. So that sent Jensen to the back of the field. Didn't look like there was any damage involved there either, so hopefully they all get away. But Netsky had the perfect start. And there's a few cars up as well. Is that Risa and possibly Louis spinning off again? Didn't look like there was massive damage, but then Risa hit the wall as his spin was coming to an end. A few more cars fighting up near the midfield. And the Red Bull of Simo and Ash Bess in the McLaren fighting away. Hadler trying to get through there, but Netsky, let us say, what a start he had. He was pretty much, by far, the best car off the grid. Baraka's made a position up as well as he's trying to get by Gil and Fabi. I'm sure he'll be doing that as soon as possible. There he goes, by one of them on the inside of Gil, but he's going to hit him. Got to be careful. Don't want to throw away all those points so early on.
Yes, as they pass turn 13 and now into turn 14 and into the very tricky Galp corner coming up soon at turn 15. So Baraka's already gained 1 position so far, but I'm sure he wants to gain more than that. But yeah, I have to agree. Netsky, I think, really had a good reaction to that. And I think Cornet was caught napping so far, but I think we're going to see Baraka getting the move done on Gil by the looks of things as they make their way towards Primera of turn 1. And I think he's got it. Yes, he has, as he passed Gil up into 8th place. So that's another car that he's got past. And he's now going to look to get past Fabi as well. Cohen has had a good start as well, up to 3rd. 2 Alpines are definitely having the best of races so far in terms of the constructors. But there's no DRS activated yet, so we're not going to see DRS trains just yet. But we got Louis and Risa, after that lap 1 calamity, have gone into the pits to replace their front wing. Rizet has gone for the softs, which is what I wouldn't have done. I probably would have gone on the hards, but he probably wants to have an option midway through the race as well. But we'll see what happens. Not the trial I would have gone on for. We're already starting to see quite a few drivers using their ERS already as they try to get past some of these cars. I think Baraka is going to look for a move again, this time on Fabi, just so close to all the other drivers, and the delta between the softs and the mediums is just too much. So Baraka just getting held up by these guys, but he's doing a great job. He hasn't spun at the moment as they make their way past turn Sagres and now into Galp, get the long right-hander of Galp coming up soon. And I think he's going to go for the move in turn 1 like he did with Gil a lap ago.
Yeah, he's got to just keep going like this, and you'll be happy to know that Korn is not on the DRS of Netsky, so might well be clawing those points back quicker than even he expected, because those Alpines, they're looking racy. Are they going to try and get up towards the Mercedes? Potential teamwork could happen there. 2 Ferraris as well are going to maybe do their stuff, and Korn is sort of on his own, struggling to keep him in DRS. He's almost run his tank dry on ERS, so he's really playing himself into a bit of a corner here, I'd say, as Gil has had a moment. He's falling down the field, and as he What's happened there?
He's hit
'Cause
Valentine.
I think his wheel's disconnected. That's what's
Yeah.
happened there, Jess, because he just went straight. It's the front wing gone as well for good measure. Last thing he needed. Valentine's kept on going. He wouldn't have picked up any damage from that, I'd imagine. But are we going to get a safety car for Gil? Because there might be a disqualification coming for his car unless he can get the wheel back in. Yes, he can. Good stuff. But a shame that he's had his race ruined, really through no fault of his own. Now, it looks like Corner has brought the gap down, but at what cost? Because he's almost used his full tank of ERS. Is he going to have to go for the move now? Because if he doesn't, he's not going to have anything left. In fact, he already has nothing left. But the DRS is enabled. Corner, fastest lap, not really much of a surprise. Suku's got by Cohen, looked rather easy in the end there. Maybe those two were working as a team and just making sure they don't rip each other off, because it definitely feels like Suku's the fastest driver of the two. Netski then locking up. Is there a potential moving towards turn 5? There's a DRS zone on the way down the hill, and Cornet, let's see if he uses any of the ERS, or is he going to use this opportunity just to save? Because he could go for it if he wants to, but he decides he's going to just sit back and wait. How about Baraka? He's closing on the Ferraris, and certainly he'd be looking more aggressive because he is surely one of the faster guys on the track at the minute. I'll be trying to get by Daniel as soon as possible. There's an opportunity in this middle sector perhaps, possibly on the traction zone on the way up the hill here, because it is so difficult to get your foot down, and these soft tires would surely have some sort of advantage of just gripping up. We saw Baraka trying to get a move on Gil here on lap 1, so we know he's certainly looking at areas he can do it all in, but for now he's sitting still in 7th position.
Yeah, he's doing well so far, but the tyres will start to degrade around about lap 8, lap 9. The sauce could only last around about 13 laps around this Algarve Portimao circuit, so Baraka, if he doesn't get past these two Ferraris soon, then he's probably going to have a recovery and a half to do when he goes on to most likely the medium compounded tyres, which was the recommended strategy as we saw in the graphics earlier. But Baraka, I think, is doing a lot better on his ERS, even though he's asked to pass quite more cars compared to his rivals. So I don't think he's going to get past, but we're watching Cornet again past turn 2 and heading towards turn 3. He's just not making it look easy at the moment, putting the pressure on Netsky. We have a yellow flag. That's probably an Alpine or Williams that's gone off there. It's either Louis or Gil, and it was Gil's wheel that disconnected, unfortunately, but hopefully his wheel is back in full force and he's able to race. We've got Baraka that's got past Daniel just about into turn 6 and 7. I think he did, yes he did, so he's now chasing Casillo up to 5th place, and we got another Haas that's spun off. I think it's Valentine down in 16th position. So yeah, the Haas again having a nightmare race, just like the season, really.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Maybe his head's gone after the contact earlier, but we'll say it every week. Is he on for yes, another retirement? Hopefully he just stays in it. Just stay in the race. You're on your own now. Get a finish on the board. There'll be safety cars later on, I'm sure. Don't be the cause of it, though.
Yeah, you do not want to be the cause of the safety cars, and we haven't seen many safety cars in some of the top tiers, at least on PC, so it is quite rare to see them at the moment, but it can help some people and it can help others as well. Cornet looked very close into turn 1 to get past Netsky, but Netsky is doing well to defend from that. Netsky's pace is remarkable in terms of defending, but I wonder what Cornet's going to do once he gets past Netsky. He would have been in the lead if Cornet did not have a bad start. Netsky's pulling away there with his straight line speed as we head towards Torre Vips of turn 5. This tricky hairpin then, and he stays behind for yet another sector, unfortunately. Suko's well on the back of this, as well as Cohen too. So the two Alpines working together, and Cohen's off. He's off and spun it into the grass, and Gil and Valentine is both out of the race. Gil probably due to his wheel. Jensen's out the race as well. He's retired in the pits. So we're down. Yeah, both Haases out, and I believe this is Jensen's first race in F2. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the Haases, to be honest. It may just be the Haas curse in this lead, but since I think 2 out of the 3 retired in the pits, it's going to be no safety car by looks of things, but there is going to be a yellow flag in set to the turn 1 until obviously the AIs come out of the pits. So it's going to be a while for that, but that means no overtaking, I believe. But we'll see what Cornet could do this lap, this time heading into turn 1. I think he's got more of an edge this time round, but again, not close enough, and they almost hit the AI of Jensen, but luckily they didn't. They are ghosted anyway, so they should be fine. And this DRS train is just growing and growing right now. Look who's on the back of all this, Baraka. If none of these guys get a move on, Baraka could get into the lead as well. But again, that is very tricky for him to pass as well. But Cornet is just trying to find a room to pass. But Netsky's straight line speed is probably is what's saving him here. But Cornet's cornering speed is a lot better. So it may be down to the setup that Cornet's using compared to Netsky.
Yeah, I think with the ERS situation now, obviously, you see Cornet's back to normal, so he's basically just chilling now. What are they going to do, though, about Baraka? Because I think Baraka will have to think about either the undercut or maybe we're going to cut him on moves. If he can get himself, Baraka, up to, say, 3rd place, and then pit, you know, he could lead the race. Because he'll be pitting onto the hard compound tyres, going to the end. Absolutely fantastic. And these guys all creating, as you say, a bigger and bigger train. Feels like they're not going as fast as they could do. So is Cornet thinking about that, because he's going for the lead now. And he's through at turn 1. Will Netsky fight back? It looks like he might just hold off, because I think they're losing enough time as it is. And they'll know Baraka's there. The top 2, they can see Baraka. In fact, the whole top 4, they can see him. They see him. He's 5th place. That'll appear on their timing graphics. And they'll have to think about what they got to do about him, because they're sort of backing themselves into a corner by being this slow. But it's the nature of the game, I suppose. But Baraka, honestly, keep your eye on him, because look at him. He's just so much quicker still on lap 8 on these softs. If he can find any opportunity, he'll be straight past.
Yeah, I think so as well. And all it takes is for any of the top 4 to make a mistake as well. But just look at the speed that he's carrying through sector 2. Baraka's more comfortable than Kazizel right now. Is he going to go for a late lunge? He almost thought about it, but decided to back out for a second. Didn't want to risk any accident because he saw other drivers make some accidents early on in the race as well. We had a few people who'd left the session, but there's a few people that has retired, so that's not a problem. We can see a few sparks from Kazizel's car, so he is definitely pushing so far. I'm watching Baraka's ERS usage. He's on 76% at the moment, and he's has more ERS compared to the others. Whereas Kazizel has quite a lot of ERS too, so he could get past Suko. But Baraka is looking brilliant as they head towards turn 1. Netsky's not looking for a move past Cornet, so this is the battle we got to watch out for. Baraka versus Kazizel, the 2 Ferrari-powered cars. I'm sure Kazizel does not want an Alfa Romeo to be ahead of them, but he's probably doing his best to try and attack as well. But I'm almost certain any one of these drivers would benefit from the undercut around there, because they will have some clear air and they're able to get ahead of most of these guys. So I think Baraka's probably done the right thing going on these softs and then going for a cheeky undercut, because no one will have the room to respond to it really. So Baraka's got plenty of time to do this, but he's going to lose so much time just by trying to get past these guys. But none of the guys behind are just not getting past Baraka either. So, you know, Baraka's got an advantage for now, but I'm sure he'll be going even faster once he gets past these guys, if he gets past these guys.
Yeah, luckily for the other guys, CC Brain's not really doing much to catch up onto the train, but I wonder if they've been looking for gaps at pit stops as well. But there's a crash now. Ash Best, has he had any damage, or has he just lost it on a traction zone? Either way, he's really struggling to get it back on the road. I think he was fighting with Deso, but yeah, he's gone off now. Baraka again looking close. If he put the ERS on now, he'd probably be able to slipstream alongside, but just not quite enough to get past. As Kazizel has a wee slide. Suko losing a little bit of touch, and there's a very late braking moment for Kazizel. Surely now Baraka can just cut back on him and we'll have a real shot to go to P4. I said if he has a chance he will take it, and this is my time to try and prove it. Suko moves over to try and give a little bit of slipstream to Kazizel, but all the way around the outside. There goes Baraka in the Alfa Romeo, and on the exit with those soft tyres, still proving to have plenty of grip in them, he's moved up into 4th place. I wonder if this is leaning towards actually a soft to medium, a medium to soft, because these softs are looking more than good enough after 10 laps. Taking them 4 or 5 more, then you could easily say move to that medium. So I don't think we'll see anyone really go for these hards in these front runners. They don't need a reason to, they'll all be on the soft, surely.
Yeah, I think the best move for them is to go on the softs as well, because don't forget, they didn't touch the dry tyres in the qualifying session. It was all fresh from the start of the race, so it won't be worn in a formation lap, even though they had less time to try and warm the tyres, and they're probably feeling good about themselves as well. So yeah, I think they can stretch to the soft tyres. We've seen it in one of the lower tiers as well, someone do a medium to soft strategy, and then they climbed quite a few positions, so it can be OP around here, but this would give Baraka something to think about. But at the moment, he's the fastest guy on track, but Netsky's caught a little bit more to Cornet on this first sector then. Now heading towards turn 4, and I don't think he's going to get the move into turn 5 because, again, he's just doesn't have the power to get past at the moment. But we're starting to see time penalties cropping up. Will Murdoch with 1. We also got Cohen, CC Brain, Wilmer and Louis also having 3 seconds. Everybody else might be on the cusp of getting a penalty because, don't forget, they get 3 warnings and it goes straight to a penalty. So expect to see more penalties here than anything, just so they're getting used to the track limits, because I've only done a few laps around here and it's so weird just to run a bit wide if you don't have much experience. But the drivers wanting to put a bit of practice into this lead because they don't want to make a fool out of themselves. But Netsky doing a great job as he will make his full-time debut next week in the Aston Martin, and he's probably got a bit of Valtters in his blood right now, but he's not thinking about him at the moment because he's in the AlphaTauri. But he's going to show to everybody why he deserves a full-time seat from next week onwards, and he's definitely proven it. He's had a race win earlier on this season. I think it was in France, I believe, and he could get another one, but he was a little bit too further back again this sector to get past Cornet, unfortunately. Suko's still on the back of this, and I wonder if Baraka's tyres hit the crossover point because he's not catching up to Suko now the way we would have liked. So I wonder if Baraka's going to come in the next maybe 3 or 4 laps to pit for the mediums. There's only one way to find out. Make sure you stay tuned to the rest of this stream, as we can already see the medium runners already catching up to Baraka again.
Yeah, they're... Well, it's all still same DRS train now, isn't it? So even if they're catching Baraka, I think he should be pretty safe for now, unless he has some sort of major error. I think he'd be just trying to get these tyres. Honestly, even 1 or 2 more laps, and that should be easily comfortable for mediums to the end. He just doesn't want to pit too early, because even if he pits now and gets an undercut, he just needs to make sure there is some life in the tyres at the end. But I still think it's looking strong for Baraka at the minute. Of course, the only thing he'll have to worry about is if he pits first, which he almost certainly will, he might put himself under pressure to be knocked out of the contention by a safety car. But we'll see. Will he stay out or will he pit? Because I think as long as he's still in DRS, why not stay out, you know? Because he can close in on this main straight and stay within DRS. So if he falls out of DRS, I think that's when he's going to pit. But that moment will not be possibly this lap. It might be next lap. We'll see. At the front, still Netsky ahead of Corner, or Netsky trying to get ahead of Corner. If they are going to pit these two at some point soon, is Netsky going to try and pass Corner just before he pits, so that he's the first car into the pits? Because it might be the best time to try and get through. If these two start fighting again, that might be a sign of pit stops beginning again.
Yes, we're not seeing much overtakes at the moment between these two. I think the main ones have been obviously turn 1 with Cornet on Netsky, and obviously Baraka making his way through the field, and lap 1 as well. Not much has happened before and during that, unfortunately, but it's still a long way to go in this race with 13 laps gone. And we're starting to see the 2 Ferraris gaining a bit as well. We'll look at the position changes from all the drivers, as Baraka's the biggest gainer, obviously, up 6. Haller's up 7. Simo's up 6. CC Brain's up 5. Brock's up 2. Daniel's up 2. Suka's up 3. And Ash Best is up 3. Biggest loser out of the 1-2 in this race. Louis get dropped down 5 positions. And obviously Jensen and Gildert's dropped massive from their starting positions in DNF. Same with Valentine too as well. But yeah, Baraka doing an incredible job so far. Same with Hadler as well. Maybe if it was a dry qualifying session, if he was on the medium 12th place, I would say this was a good race for him. But most people are on the medium compounded tyres, so he's got a lot of work to do. But he's closing in on Simmer though, and he's showing consistent lap times as we head towards turn 3 now. So we'll find out what the Aston Martin can bring. Still leading in the Constructors' Championship. Does Aston Martin. All the points what Valtters did score for Aston Martin still does count towards the Constructors, so I'm sure Haller will breathe a sigh of relief that they're still leading, but they've got Cornet, who is currently leading, and Mercedes could snatch the top spot sooner or later if after mine, so I do not get a move on. But no one seems to be budging, apart from maybe Kazizel closing in on Baraka. So maybe in the next few laps where we'll start to see, as he almost hit the back of Baraka there. Baraka's gone wide a bit. This could be Kazizel's shot. I was about to say there was no overtake happening, and boom, there is about to be an overtake. And I think it was just all the cause of Baraka just running wide a little bit and losing time. But this could be Kazizel's move here, going, Baraka's in the pits. He had to, really. He was losing so much grip on the tyres, and that promotes Kazizel up to P4 on track.
Yeah, Baraka lucky to still get it on the road. I thought for a second he might have actually had a puncture, but he's just about kept it alive. Is Daniel going to fight his teammate now that he knows he won't have any DRS? He could pretty easily get past if he just stuck his DRS on and had a real run, but I think Kazizel's wise to that, and so won't get himself mugged, but he is in that bit of a danger zone as Baraka. Let's see where he's going to come out. He's going to have a beautiful stretch of track all on his own to set, just a flying out lap. And I think it's too early for these medium runners to think about the pit stop, and this is where now Baraka's hoping for no safety car, because he can have 2 or 3 laps here of freedom to set fastest laps, and hopefully for his case get himself into the lead of this race, or at least ahead of one of the top 3.
Yes, I think the undercut does not work if you come out in traffic. If you don't come out in traffic like Baraka, this could work a dream. So great decision for him to actually pit, and probably they've been looking, if they had Jeff, they're probably looking at the stream and looking at the times between the other drivers and seeing, right, when will be the best time to pit. But if you do not have like a Jeff who's watching in the PSM party or something like that, and then you're probably just blind and don't know when to pit. So maybe you plan your strategy beforehand. I don't know. You've got to really much go with your gut instinct and decide when to pit, as we got Hadler who's in as well. That is early. I thought he was going to do mediums to soft, but he's deciding to not gamble for that, and I wonder if he's going for the hards. No, he is going for the softs. Okay, so
Brilliant.
he's probably doing half. He's doing probably half on the mediums and half on the softs. Going to be a bit of a risk, but if Baraka did 15 laps on the softs, then maybe Hadler could do pretty much maybe more than that. But it's going to be a risk going to the end of the race. He's going to hope for a safety car because his tyres are going to probably be toast at the end of it. But great strategy for Hadler to do, but he's not got the advantage that Baraka has. He's under huge pressure with traffic in front of him now, so yeah, he's going to lose a chunk of time.
So, front runners, are they going to pit? I do think possibly Hadler was a bit early. I don't see how you can do less than half the race on mediums, but more than half the race on the softs. I think that's a bit of a backward strategy. On the top 3, they're not budging. Kazizel not budging. Fabi is budging though. He's into the pits. And we'll see how far Baraka is in front of him, because that'll give us a sort of sign as to, sort of how far ahead you'd expect him to be and possibly where he might find himself, especially if Netsky tries to go for moving corner here for the lead. Let's see. He isn't using his ERS, so he's not going to go for it, but it's interesting that he's sitting there as Baraka does set that predictably fastest lap. That fastest lap being 0.4 of a second faster than the race leader's fastest lap. How much faster was he on that last lap though? It was Cornet's last lap, it was his fastest lap, so they're both pushing for fastest laps, but it's easy to say Baraka's quicker. Even when Cornet's giving it everything, it's not enough at the minute.
I think Baraka's going to be ahead of Cornet the way that Baraka's pushing right now as well, and he's only 1.5 seconds behind Fabi, of course, so Baraka has done a good job there, but we'll see what happens. Maybe going on to the staying out for Cornet and Netsky may not be the best decision, so I think Baraka's probably out of their reach at the moment, but the most important thing is the likes of Fabi and Hadler, and they're staying out again, so they feel that the softs could not go to the end from that point. And we did see, I think, an Alpine or someone go into the pits. That was Cohen, and we saw another Alpine that almost dummied into the pits, but his teammate did instead. So we got Cohen in, and we got Brock in as well. They're both onto the soft tyres. They were near Fabi, I believe, or Cohen, I think, was at least near Fabi. So we'll see where Fabi ends up in relation to that. He's got stuck in traffic, so, and Baraka sets the fastest lap again. Netsky's 2 tenths behind Cornet, and he's not going to get the move done on this occasion. Fabi just gets ahead of Cohen then. So, but that's going to be quite a big train forming from like Baraka to Cohen now. But that they now have done their first stops and only stops, and they just got to focus on the end goal now. The top three still yet to box, but they're still on a massive train, and I think Cornet must be feeling the pressure a bit. Someone's gone off. That's Dezo, who had a bit of a moment, but he's back, and he's catching up to this train still. I think it was a little bit of a moment. He panicked me there for a minute.
Yeah, it was right around Baraka and Fabi. I hope they had nothing to do with that. Surely these guys at the front now have to pit. And they're not. I mean, Baraka was 0.8 of a second faster than the top three on the last lap. What about this lap? Perhaps Baraka would have lost some time as Kazizel and Susie Brain do box. Fabi obviously all over the back of Baraka on his fresh sauce. Could he be playing himself into a leading position perhaps? Because I think Fabi's going to be going past, and it could be a very fast lap as well. That is a fast lap, which is over 1.3 seconds quicker as Fabi goes into turn 1 ahead of Baraka. And this is a driver who we could be about to see taking the lead of this race for McLaren, because with that sort of pace, he is easily going to be way faster on this lap as well. And that surely means that he has a real shot of getting at least well into the top three, possibly even the head of it.
Yeah, he's doing very well, and that was an easy move for Fabi as well. It looked like Baraka had no room, and don't forget the delta is only 0.5 of a second between the two tyres, so Fabi doing a great job as well. I will keep an eye on the pit lane loss around this circuit, 24 seconds, and the gap to leader. If he finds about 0.5, Fabi will come out in the lead of this race. That's how close it is so far. And Cornet's in, they're all in, they had to really. They saw the gap between themselves and Fabi. So now Fabi's got to push now, but he's in traffic, so it's going to be ever so tight, because I think it's going to be tight by 0.4. So Cornet's on the soft. I think Suka and Netsky are going to do the same, and Daniel as well. So we'll keep an eye on Fabi as they head towards turn 15. It's like a roller coaster, as we said earlier on, and we'll see if Fabi could keep up the pace so far. 1:18.2, so a bit slower this lap. And is he going to be ahead? It's going to be tight. Wow. So Cornet is ahead.
Here he goes. This is his chance, Fabi. He's got to do it now. He's got to do it on this DRS zone. He's got the tyres all in the right temperature zone. It's almost worked out perfectly, but he's going wide. And Cornet's using his ERS well. Fabi, I don't think he'll risk a dive bomb. But man, it so nearly paid off, didn't it? And I thought he was going to go for the move there. Sorry if I interrupted you.
It's fine.
I thought they were going for it. It's because Kazizel hits the side of Baraka, who's fighting away from what's a net P4 on the track at the moment. And they're really going for it. Will Murdoch sitting back on those hard compound tyres. He's really looking at a safety car. Thought he might have got one there as well. As Suko, actually that means Baraka's fighting for a net third, doesn't it? Because Suko's actually behind both of them, possibly. We need to try and see. No, it is definitely a net fourth. So Suko is a big loser in all of this, as he falls way down. He did get held in his pit stop, but I didn't realise it was held by that much. And it was Daniel's car that held him, I think, by passing him as he was sitting in his pit box. And so that's the Alpine down. It's Kazizel now going to get past Baraka as well on these fresh, soft compound tyres. Yes, he is. And, well, Baraka, any advantage he got at the start, it seems he's not quite got the pace right now to do anything about it, as Ash Best puts it off the road. Hasn't hit the wall, I don't think, so there'll be no safety car, but another mistake for the McLaren today. While his teammate's fighting for the lead, he's really struggling.
Yes, we've got a McLaren fighting for the lead, and the McLaren in the back, which is...
Oh, he's gone again.
Yep, he spun again. He's struggling for traction on those softs, and it must be hot right now, so... I can see his rear tyres are not the best of friends right now, so I think he may, if I were him, maybe go and you're going to lose time for pitting again, but you just got to have to make do with it, unfortunately, as well. But so Fabi benefited from this, whereas Netsky didn't. Netsky was also another loser out of this, because he was second before the pit stops, and now he's P2. So Cornet got ahead of Fabi, whereas Netsky did not get ahead of Fabi. So that is why the undercut worked massively for Netski. So we're keeping an eye on the penalties as well. Will Murdoch, Louis and Ash Best were the ones on 3 seconds. The rest on 6 seconds, the rest are on 3. Everybody else got no penalties so far, but it could change. Netski's looking good on Fabi, but again, not quite close enough. We also got Soko on the back of Baraka, and he got past him into turn 1. So definitely these softs are the best tyres for now, but Baraka may just be saving a bit of tyre life towards the end of the race where the softs will not be the best tyres. So, but he knows that Daniel could be catching up soon as well. It's going to be tough for Baraka to score points.
Netski's going for it. Contact.
Netski's coming. Oh, there's been contact there in turn 5, and Fabi's gone off the track. What about this right-hander in turn 6 and 7 there? No, Fabi does not want to go for it there. You definitely do want to go. Don't go there through turn 6 and 7. That's just a risky corner to get any move done. So Fabi's lost a bit of time there.
That wasn't by choice. I wonder if he's going to do anything about the stewards there, Fabi, because he was forced off the track by Netski. Re-overtook Netski off the track and had to get the position back. And, well, I don't know if it's worthy of a stewards fight, but he was basically nerfed off the road and forced to give that position up. So he's lost the second position there, and obviously Netski's down the road now. He could have been ahead of him still. And so the game, I'm assuming, gave him an order to give the position back because he just put the brakes on and had to let him go. So that's a shame. Suko now, fastest guy on the track, as Daniel also moved past Baraka. But yeah, Netski, can he now catch Cornet and try and pass him because he's got more ERS. They're all actually running quite low. Daniel the highest of the pack, but it's not necessarily too high. It's only just over the 50% mark.
Yes, I don't know what to think about the incident into turn 5 as well. We've seen likeable incidents, I think, where the guy was pushed off the track like that and they ended up getting a penalty in real life. So I wonder if that's something that Fabi will be thinking about in his mind, or maybe he will just let him off. We don't know, because don't forget, Netski's a full-time driver from next week. So Netski is fighting for this championship more than anybody as well. So he is definitely pushing, and he's showing, but maybe that was a bit too risky earlier on as well. So we'll keep an eye on the Stewards report, and again we'll feed that back next week when we race in Canada, and that might affect Netski's chances of a win today. But for now, he's still in the position because he's got no in-game penalties at least. The Cornet seems to be the quickest driver consistently over a few laps over Netski at the moment, but I wonder if Netski's going to gain a bit with DRS. Not close enough once again into turn 1. Now heading towards turn 2 with that right apex. I just don't think he's going to go for it, but I think Desso just rejoined again. He's having connection issues. Hopefully Desso could join back, but Desso unfortunately is not going to get any points by the looks of things. No safety cars so far. I don't think we had any VSCs either, so the drivers are keeping it clean around Portimao, considering it's the first time we raced here, so they're doing a pretty good job avoiding some parts of the circuit. We thought the safety cars were going to be called for Gill earlier on, but it didn't, so thank goodness for that. But this is going to be a straight fight between these two for the win, pretty much for the whole of the race, and I think it's going to last for quite a long time. It's a question of who's going to blink first. Basically,
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of time to make that decision, but that top 5 is going to become a full-on DRS train now. Is Fabi potentially going to be under threat from Kazizzle, because he'll want to get into this top 3 as soon as possible, but that certainly is a top 5 going for it. Maybe Daniel can catch up and make it a top 6, but there's 5 different teams all going for this, so there'll be no sort of team shenanigans. I know there's 3 Shizou drivers in there, but even still they'll be fighting for themselves at this point. And I'll see, hopefully that makes more interesting racing. But yeah, I think Fabi's the one most likely to be overtaken at the minute. He doesn't seem to have the pace. Will Kazizzle actually go for the move now? Let's see what he does, because he knows he's got 9 laps, so he doesn't want to go for a too risky move, but I think Fabi is going to hold him up.
Yeah, I think so, and he's got Suku and Daniel as well breathing down the neck, and we can already see Baraka's time. He's losing quite a lot to Daniel, so I think chance of him getting Daniel is slim to none at the moment. But for the likes of Fabi, I think he's probably going to lose out on the podium unless Kazizzle gets a penalty, and we will check the warnings later on as well to see how close they are to a penalty. I wonder if a few, I think even Fabi probably would have got a warning for that unfair contact, but if he did, I'm almost certain that warning's going to get removed with the turn 5, turn 6 incident. So technically you'll be probably only on 1 warning if you got a warning for that. So yeah, that will be investigated obviously with the warnings, Fabi. But anyway, Suku, I don't think he's going to get past Kazizel. What about Fabi? The top 2, they're not making any edge way at the moment, but here comes Kazizel into turn 1. They make contact. Oh my word, that was almost as Kazizel spun and he's hit Suku in the process and he's into the gravel. That was unfortunate for Kazizel. He's just getting bad luck after bad luck each race. Something bad just happens to him. He's been having a good race so far, but until this point, he's struggling a bit, and Baraka's going to get past him as well. So I wonder if he's got any terminal damage there. I think he might do, as Baraka just breezes past him into turn 5.
I don't think there was anything Fabi did wrong there, by the way. I think that's
Probably decent.
Fabi's allowed to move on the straight, and I think Kazizel was a bit asleep there, to be honest, because Kazizel has pulled out to make the move and is just not registered that Fabi's moving to defend. I was watching on board with Kazizel, and he's moved out, and it's very clear that Fabi's moving out, and he's practically driven straight into him, as Kazizel. And then obviously when he gets to turn 1, heads are hot, and he really shouldn't still be on the inside by that point. So I hope the stewards don't do anything drastic about that, because I'd almost say the car that was most at fault for that is the one that's ended up in the weeds anyway. So Suko's got by Fabi now, he's up into 3rd position, and Netski is going for the lead, and he's making that one stick as well. He's been waiting to do that one for a while, but AlphaTauri finally lead this race as Ash Best now retires. And that will be a safety car, that's not an accident yet. And I think because this is also in the pits as well for a new front wing. But Netski, with a pretty bog standard move on DRS, this gives Cornet a chance to save some now. And can Suko get involved as well?
Yeah, Suko's out of DRS right now, but he could be within DRS with a few 100ths per second difference. So Suko got past Fabi, and now the question is, he's going to push now, hopefully, because he's on much newer tyres compared to the likes of Fabi. Fabi pitted a few laps, pretty much a few laps earlier than Suko, so that's probably why Fabi is struggling a little bit. Don't forget, these tyres could last about 13, 15 laps, and we're approaching the end of this race. Definitely the top 3 will make it to the end, same with Daniel as well, but Fabi is pushing it. Haller, don't forget, has been on those soft tyres for 10 laps, could still be on for a point as well, so he's doing a good job. I think he was in 12th, I think, before the pit stop, so he was the one that benefited from the pit stops when he pitted because of that huge undercut. But I wonder if the crossover point for him will come too soon. I think he'll be alright, but we'll find out as the race comes to an end. But I think we'll find out probably now as CC Brain is catching onto the back of Haller. So I think the times are starting to fall off for the Aston Martin driver of Haller. But he will have his new teammate of Netski for company next week, and I'm sure Haller will be very happy that his new teammate next week is doing well up the front. Will Murdoch, his teammate for this week, has got past Cohen up into turn 1, and he's up into 11th, 1 place below the points, but I don't think he's going to get points because he's on quite a few penalties. No other moves and changes up the field at the moment, but watch out for Cornet and Suko. Suko's found about 7 tenths on this lap alone to try and close in on the top 2.
Yeah, it's all a big waiting game, isn't it? Netski has, though, the most ERS out of all 3 of them. And obviously Fabi is in that as well, but he's got the lowest amount of ERS out of the 4. So he might be hoping these guys scrap a little bit so he has a chance to save. Cornet, is he going to go for the lead? I mean, he's definitely close enough. And I think he has to because Suko's going to come as well. So Cornet goes for the lead. Is Suko going to try and find a way through as they go side by side for turn 1? Cornet's a little bit wide and Netski comes back at him. Is he going to go back down the inside? Yes, he is. Cornet's gone wide. He's going to get a penalty for that. And Suko will just cut back underneath. Look out for him on the straight as the top 2 collide. And surely Suko has a chance to get into this lead at some point. Cornet covers him off and holds on to 2nd place on the road. But Netski is now into the lead and the car behind him has a penalty. which he sort of pressured him into. So that's good. That's good stuff from Netsuke, really. They're holding the inside, but he's lost the car himself, and that might be a warning himself for going wide off the track. Suko will be enjoying watching those two going for it because it's just giving them two extra warnings when he sits back and just prepares.
Yeah, so I wonder if Suka will be pressuring Netsuke for a mistake, but he's got to get past Cornet first in order to do something about it. And I think some very smart moves from Netsuke to force Cornet into a mistake there to get the penalty, because he knows that Netsuke's probably on 2 warnings as well, and if he gets 1 more, he gets a penalty. So, good IQs from Netsuke so far. Suko's going to go for it. He has to go for the move because otherwise he can't get past Netsuke.
Netsuke's so slow though. Look how slow Netsuke is. Oh, Cornet. Yeah, Suko. It's clever from Suko to see that coming because, yeah, that was a risky stuff. I think Netsuke will have noted what's just happened there and thought, okay, right, I'll just make sure both of them can't pass each other. If they box themselves in, what can they do? But Suko's going for the move again, and Cornet is as late on the brakes as he possibly can be. Remember, the Mercedes driver fighting with a penalty. Suko really, it's in his best interest to get straight past him and try and pressure Netsuke, but Cornet has held his grind once again. And that's ERS running really low for both of these two now. And Fabi's is building up as we have a yellow flag for Louis, I believe.
Yeah,
he's the only one in that final sector. And
26 laps on the mediums.
Not a puncture or anything, but the tyres are finished. Will he pit and maybe just try and get a faster lap or something? Because those tyres, they can't be too far away from puncturing, and that would bring... Yeah, he's into the pit lane. Doesn't want to risk anything happening there. Is Suko going to try and move again? Is Cornet going to try and move again? I don't think either of them have enough ERS, really. And with only 3 laps to go, have they actually been fighting a little bit too much for their own good? As they head through turn 1 now, Netsuke still holds on. Cornet and Suko behind as Racer comes out of the pit lane, just slowing down to let people through. Of course, Cornet still hits DRS, so he will be faster on these straights, and so it's not like it's impossible for him to make a move work, but he has to somehow find 3 seconds or pressure people into penalties around him. I'd say the win's pretty much gone for Cornet unless something extraordinary happens in the next 2 laps.
And yet again, the driver that puts the car on pole position never gets the race win. It just never happens in this tier, and Cornet with that penalty has kind of ruined it for him, really. And the likes of Netsuke, who hasn't got a pole position all season, could be on for a race win too, pending any Stewards inquiries with the incident with Netsuke into turn 5. But again, it's going to be a bit of hit and miss as to what the outcome of that will be. Some may say penalise him, some may say not. But, you know, these two have been definitely fighting quite a bit, actually, between the likes of, obviously, Fabi, Daniel, Kazizo as well, had a bit of a spin. Another yellow flag, that is probably Will Murdoch that's gone for a spin in sector 2 there. So, yep, he's lost a bit of ground there as well. 2 tenths now is the gap between Cornet and Netsuke. I don't think Netsuke does need to worry about Cornet at the moment. The only driver he's got to worry about is the likes of Suko and Fabi, who have no penalties at all. So if he lets Cornet through on the final lap, I don't think it will make any difference as long as he fights for it, really. And Jensen in the chat is glad he retired early because there wasn't any safety car. And there isn't going to be any safety cars this race, which fair play to him. I was expecting at least one due to the fact that it is a new track on the game, but we have had none and we're going to have none. So well done to these guys, because I think we had 1 or 2 last week. So I guess these guys just go to show they've put in a lot of practice with the new tracks. Hopefully they'll do the same next week when we head to Canada next week. Is the track before we go on to our week off after Canada. But we've got 1 more race next week, and we still got a pretty much a lap to go of this Portuguese Grand Prix,
wide.
as I was seeing.
Very wide.
Very wide, yeah, that was very tight.
This is where Suko, if he wants this win, he has to get by Cornet now. He's got no choice. And Cornet's not got the ERS to fight Netsuke. So, can Suko find a way through? No, he can't. No way through. As Simo falls out of the points, he has seemingly a mistake or a puncture or something's happened to him. But, will anyone pull a move on Netsuke? Remember, Cornet's got the DRS, so he should theoretically have the best run in towards turn 5. Is he going to just throw one down the inside? No, he's not going to do that. And it's going to leave Netsky with the lead of the race in the most crucial part of this race now. The final lap, surely he can't lose it from here. As it looks like Simo, whatever's happened to him, it's taken him out of the points and he's still struggling with it. And that's a real shame for him. But he'll have to just try and get back to the pits now. That'll be sort of race over for him now. And the sky's getting very dark. Rain absolutely on the horizon. I'd say probably too late for it to make any effect here. But just look out for any spots in the last sector. As we see Netsky coming through. It would really take an accident between Cornet and Netsky now for Suko to win the race. Nothing you can do now because it's flat out all the way from here to the checkered flag. The DRS zone's going to come too late as well. And so that means that Netsky, as he comes round the final sweeping corner, will see the checkered flag at the top of the hill. And he's going to win the first Portuguese Grand Prix. And it's Suko who comes in second. Fabi will take third and Daniel will take fourth. Cornet eventually falls down to fifth after his penalty. Brock in the second series ends up finishing behind Baraka, who had a decent recovery to sixth in the end in all fairness. Hadler as well, a good result in 8th place. And CC Brahim will come home. He will end up in 9th with Cohen and Kazizel and Will Murdoch coming through as well. Risa and Louis have already finished a lap down and Desto retired in the pit lane as far as I can tell, or is he still going? Might still be going actually. But here comes Will Murdoch. He's going to crash. That's not going to make it to the line, mate. He's out of the race.
He risked by doing that. He shouldn't really do that. But I think he had nothing to lose. But I don't think he'll be classified due to that. But Haller, the in-game driver of the day, goes to him by getting 11 places. But I have to say, Netsky with his final race as a reserve before he moves over full-time next week, I think he has proven a point here at PSGL that he still wants to fight for this championship. And he drove a really good drive, forced Pete to put someone into a mistake to get a penalty, and was driving consistent lap times, and he's got his second win of the season. The only other driver to get 2 wins this season is Valtters, but obviously Valtters not in the league anymore, so could this be the sign for things to come for Netsky? He could be chasing down the likes of Baraka. I do believe Baraka, it is hard to tell who will take the lead at the championship. It's going to be close after tonight, but we'll go for your results. We've got Netsky, Suko, Fabi, Daniel, Cornet, Baraka, Brock, Hadler, CC Brown and Cohen. They get points for the top 10. No fastest at that point because it belongs to outside the top 10, and I don't believe that fastest lap for a minute. But anyway, we got Kazizel, Will Murdoch, Dezo, Riza, Louis and Simo. They're your final finishers. And your retirements are Ash Best, Valentin, Jensen and Gill. Only 4 retirements and not a bad race. And I think the main overtakes came towards the end of the race, Owen.
Yeah, they came towards the end, and Netsky, well, he had to hold his nerve, didn't he? He went for the moves, made him stick. Maybe Fabi might have an issue with what happened down at turn 5, I'm not sure. Perhaps, because this will have problems with what Fabi had in the main straight, but I think that was just miscommunication between the two of those two. So I'm not too sure what would happen there, but well, we'll see what all drivers have to say about various issues. Next, I think Corner says his penalty should be able to get removed. So we might end up still getting a podium, and that would put him into the championship lead, I believe, as well.
Yes, it would. So we'll keep an eye on any penalty removals. I'm almost certain Fabi will get a warning removed. Well, he doesn't need to now because he doesn't have a penalty. But if he did get a penalty, I'm almost certain he would have had a warning removed as well. So that was the first race around Portimao, and I think I would like to see more of that. But again, not many overtaking spots, but it was a good experience for all the drivers because they may be having more races around Portimao on this game, and I'm sure the drivers will probably find much quicker lap times the next time we head to Portimao. So I wonder if any of the drivers want to speak to us in the interview room. We'll give it a slight moment. It's either one or none at all usually in the interview room. We always like to have a chat, but next week we go to the Wall of Champions track itself. We go to Canada for the Canadian Grand Prix. I kind of like this track on this game, but I'm sure the drivers want to try and avoid the Wall of Champions, and it's a track where a lot of penalties could be given out for track limits. So we'll see what happens next week. Should be a exciting one to watch, and a track which could bring wet weather, as we've seen in quite a few races in PSGL gone by, I have to say.
Yeah, I hope that we'll have a good race in Canada, but personally I'm glad I'm not racing there because it is the chicanes that really do the damage there. And obviously the wall of damage as well. We do have Fabi in the waiting room, so we might actually get to talk to him and see what he thinks about the incident.
Fabi always wants to be interviewed every time he's on the podium, so he's always a reliable person to come in. So here we go with Fabi. Excellent job with your strategy today as well. Just missed out on the win. It was your first time racing around Portugal. What did you think of it?
Hello, first of all.
Hello.
you scared me. you were so loud. What I have to say, it was very stressful. The tires were dead at the end. Not like Hamilton said, they were really dead. 75%, 72%. But it's so much fun. I think it's the first time since a few weeks that I've enjoyed racing this week so much. It feels good to be back here since Belgium, I believe.
Yeah, I think Belgium was your last podium actually as well, and people underestimate the amount of time and effort it takes to learning a new track as well. Was it hard to get to grips with it when it came on the game?
You want to hear the truth? I started Wednesday to practice Portimao, and I have used the line.
Wow. I have to say, one of the drives of the day then, if you already started practicing last Wednesday. Incredible. So you saw that the conditions were a little bit worse for wear in qualifying. Did that really change your strategy on using, doing the medium to soft strategy, or using the softs and the mediums, or did you plan to go onto the hards if it was a dry qualifying session, or was it your plan all along to use one soft tyre and one medium tyre?
It was planned to go medium soft, but it was a bit of a gamble to go that early on the soft tyre because I don't know how they work at the end of the race and how much grip I'm losing. And it works out, and P3 I think good result for this decision.
You are closing in on the championship as well now, because there have been some races where it hasn't gone to plan with your DNF last week as well. How important is it to fight back after a miserable race last week? Because you just got bad luck after bad luck, didn't you?
I believe the last 4 or 5 weeks I scored a few points, and DNF again, score a few points, DNF again, and then some consistency. And I hope I can get back next week in Canada too.
Yes. Owen, do you have any questions for Fabi?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on the result. Once again, good driving. I wanted to ask about the move that Netsky pulled on you at turn 5 when he had you off the track. Did that give you an illegal overtake warning when you tried to get back past him?
What did you say at the end?
I was just wondering, when you were fighting against Netsky at turn 5 and you went off the track, was that an illegal overtake, or did you just let him go through?
I had the same at the PSGL Cup in France. I think it's an legal move. I need to see him coming, like as Stuart said, and I think everything is fine with that move. It was a late move, but it was fine.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it makes sense then. We go to Canada next week. Is it a track which you've been looking forward to, or you dreading it? Let's hope you do not get a pattern of DNFs in Canada, because the way this is going, you may get DNF next week. How are you going to get rid of that points and DNF curse?
I don't like tracks where the walls are that close, so I hope I can get a few turns.
You're like me. When there's a wall close by, I usually do rubbish, so at least we have something in common. It looks like we don't have anyone else in the interview room, but thank you for joining us again, Fabi. A common person in the interview room when you have a podium, and let's hope for more podiums in the near future this season. Best of luck with the rest of the championship.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So that is it then for the drivers' interviews, and that is it for the stream. Be sure to check out F1, F5 and F6 and F8, which are going on right now as they're doing their Portimao race. They're just about to start their races in the end of qualifying session. It should be fun to watch, so make sure you check them out. And no PC tiers this week because they're on their break week, so we are back on Monday for Canada, and I think we've got the lower PlayStation tiers on Thursday and the mid PlayStation tiers on Sunday, and then it'll be us on Monday. So thank you, Owen, for joining us once again. I think it was a good race, don't you think?
Yeah, it was good fun. Looking forward to next week, and once again, cheers for having me.
You're welcome. We'll see you next week for the Canadian Grand Prix. Have a good evening. Goodbye.